Ethics crises are variegated field flowers of despair. That was intentionally pompous. I'm not really pompous. Maybe I am. There are more than one type of ethics crisis with different origins. One type of ethics crisis would result in parity with a continuing brain drain such as took place in Pittsburgh. As the steel mills shut down, as individuals sought employment elsewhere and went back to school or retrained for employment, as people lost jobs and sought jobs elsewhere. In this case, you get a brain drain in which the smartest people move out of the region, get good paying jobs, and generally, the majority do well for themselves outside of the region. These are individuals who are capable in the job market. The more important point in this discussion, though, is that they're capable of ethical judgment. As the Pittsburgh population gets stupider from attrition, one type of ethics crisis becomes a failure to understand or comprehend the point of ethics, a failure to act upon principle by way of a cognitive failure. A much more intelligent demographic may voluntarily abandon ethics. They will act. A criminal could have an IQ of 300 and choose all day, every day, exponentially to do wrong, evil. One could commit, that's a little too much information, but no, one could have an ethics crisis among exceptionally intelligent people or individuals. One individual of exceptional intelligence may be able to inflict greater harm, by virtue of intelligence. This would be an ethics crisis. To analyze this, I guess this would require huge, case studies. The Ted Bundy, the Hitler, Stalin, individuals who, random individuals, the genius criminal, they're out there, I guess. Then again, you have the organized crime, such as, the mob organized crime. White-collar crime may have organized. We're talking ethics crises. There's an ethics crisis among corporate executives. Case in point, the Enron scandal, in which executives in the energy business basically became evil. Were evil, essentially bad people. The term succumb to evil doesn't apply. They didn't succumb to it. They applied it, deliberately, knowingly. With a purpose in mind, to get rich, to rip off the stupid. But getting back to a sort of an ethics crisis, I guess it's sort of like a layered or structured crisis. Might be one way of looking at it. You may have, in fact, a very intelligent and organized demographic that is able to, knowingly, perhaps, persecute the poor, oppress the poor, attack, whatever. There's a lot of evil out there to provoke. Was a suborn violence or whatever, to suborn oppression, divide, to divide and conquer, for instance, would be to suborn oppression, to get one group to oppress another. Now, in terms of bad ethics, in terms of an ethics crisis, that might illustrate that, an elite, an aristocracy may be an ethics crisis could emanate from an aristocracy. Jumping to an extreme, you might have a very stupid, very oafish working class, such as I met at Hartman Laboratories. There was these leftover people, these were delivery drivers, myself included. We were driving atrocious delivery, small cars. It was a dental laboratory. They produced and delivered more crowns and bridges than any other dental lab at their time. It was a light manufacturing thing. I was in the delivery drivers I'm talking about, a bunch of them, they'd lost jobs in factories. I think they'd been former steel workers, this bunch, and it belonged to a union. Once they'd lost their jobs as steelworkers and had to take jobs in other fields, they became these assholes. This was a small minority of people. They'd belonged to unions. They no longer did. They now worked for Hartman Labs in the same delivery department. It was in the basement. We had a meet in the basement. Then we'd get hit with 1 billion deliveries, and the day would be just all the fuck over the place in these terrible cars. There's a goodly amount of time each day spent seating around cafeteria tables in the day room, right in the basement. It's the delivery department, and it's a dusty, shabby one. Anyway, no, these are really stupid people. They're abusive. I was talking ethics crisis again. These people were pieces of shit. They were completely oriented towards basically despicable behavior. They would give me or others, no, it's typical of these bastards, to protect their position in a union. They disinform non-union people. This was a non-union shop. These people did not belong to the union. They had retained something like institutional behaviors they'd gotten from years. These were older men. And, they'd been in the steel mills for a goodly amount of they'd been in union steel work long enough to become institutional behavior cases. And, no, they had no problem fucking people over, pulling dirty tricks, misinforming. I asked one guy where a place was, and the guy deliberately gave me wrong directions, misnamed streets so that, I'd waste time. So that his time doing deliveries would be better than my time making deliveries. We had we were watched carefully for our time, time is money and all that shit. The fact that time was money, this was a manic shithole environment. People drove like maniacs in cars that were falling apart, and those barbarian idiots I was talking about. Leering, arrogant, stupid barbarians. They actually were an organized code to union people. They had a system of keeping outsiders out. Everything operated, of course, on a seniority system or system they're entitled to respect and safety, other people, non-union or not. See, with these assholes no longer belonging to the union, they had to sustain the pretext that they had an advantage by way of acting as a cohesive labor group. The reality was minimum wage workers had identical jobs in a delivery department. But anyway, that's a weird way to go with an ethics beef. Thanks for listening. That was ethics.